I am still disturbed by those Negroes over in Uganda making it a law that they can kill their gay brothers and sisters. That still hurts me. And they came out to celebrate that shit. And the people that we saw on TV were college students who, some anyway, were college students who came out to celebrate the law being passed that they can now go out and kill their gay brothers and sisters. College students. Now, when you're in college, the whole purpose, well, not the whole purpose is to learn something, but part of that purpose, the majority of that purpose, is to learn how to get along with people, to learn that you're not the only person out in the world, that there are other people in the world besides you, to learn that you should not be so selfish. That's the whole point of college. But they came out of their classrooms to celebrate the law that had been passed that they can kill their brothers and sisters, their gay brothers and sisters. What kind of bullshit is that? And the world saw that, and the world is looking at it going, oh, those Africans, when will they learn? When will they become civilized? All of that, that's what's happening in the rest of the world. Really and truly, that's what's happening. But what you won't see is you won't see the Caucasians who taught them this shit. You won't see them. The media won't show them. They won't tell you who they are. Those nameless, faceless people, those puppeteers. They won't show you. They won't show those people who are here in the United States, the Christians who gathered up the money, hundreds of millions of dollars, to go over to Africa and spread it around, that and propaganda about how they should do away with their gay brothers and sisters. And trust and believe they are trying to do that shit here in the United States. They will do it here. Trust and believe that. They don't give a fuck. But you won't see them in the media. People, they won't show them celebrating or foaming at the mouth, loving it. So let's understand it. There is no such thing as God. There just isn't. God, that grand invention of the aristocracy to keep the lower orders in their place. It doesn't exist. I don't care what you call it in your language. I don't care what you call it. God, Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh. I don't care. It doesn't exist. It's an invention. How do you think they got those people to build those pyramids over in Egypt? You think they said please with honey on it? No, they didn't. They had to make them believe that there is something higher than them, really. They had to bring the people to here. It was a political move. It wasn't about spirituality and religion or whatever. It was about politics. At the beginning of Egypt, when it first began, or first was conquered, if you will, began, whatever it may be, the king, the very Negro king, on that rock carving with the scorpion next to him, the scorpion king, he's very Negro, not like the pretty Negro in the movie, but the Negro. It was a couple of villages or whatever it may be. It was a just conglomerate of villages. But by the time of what is called the pyramid building, it had become a state. They needed to get the people under control. They need to control the people. They had to, in order for that one family to rule. Just the one family, not 5 or 6, just the one. So the sons can rule. It is an invention. God is an invention. People are the same today as they were then. If someone came to you and said to you to do this thing, they'd look at you crazy. They'd say, what, you want us to do what? You want us to go all the way over there? You want us to cut down that mountain, take out some rocks and boulders and hewn them, cut them into rectangles and squares and drag them all the way back up here and stack them on top of each other in the form of something you call the pyramid? Nigga, you crazy. No, they're not going to do it. No, I'm not doing that. They had to get the people under control. They had to do this in order for the one family to rule. God does not exist. It is an invention. It is political correctness. It is psychological warfare. It is a political tool used by the conquerors to solidify their power, is what it is. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is read their little holy books. The 5 books of Moses, that revenge story that somebody created about some man called Moses, an invention, a warlord, their invented warlord called Moses, who supposedly freed his people. Let's be real. and he was plucked out of the water. Let's begin at the beginning. He was plucked out of the waters by the the Pharaoh's daughter or somebody. But of course, the Nile River flows upstream. It flows upstream. So if anything is true, Moses would be a Cushite with a Cushite blanket over him. So that's how they knew that he wasn't Kemetu, a Kemet, of the Kemet people, the ancient Egyptians. Is what they call themselves, the Kemetu. So they knew he wasn't the same person. So, but they plucked him out of the water. The Pharaoh's daughter plucked him out of the water, raised him up. He was raised in the aristocracy. That's why he was raised up. They found out who he was, not who he was, and he was banished out into the wilderness somewhere. Suppose he came back. This fictional story came back, and his magic was bigger than Pharaoh's magic. And he said, "Let my people go," and he just let the people go. I mean, come on, this is the story that we're told. And they outran Pharaoh's army. Pharaoh got pissed off. Pharaoh sent his army out to get him, bring him back. And they got to the Red Sea. And this is where the story becomes absolutely absurd. Moses stretched out his arms and the Red Sea parted, and they were able to run and get across the Red Sea. And Pharaoh's army followed, and the Red Sea came back together, and Pharaoh's army drowned in the Red Sea. The revenge story. But they were there on the other side of the Red Sea. They were free people. Free. They were free people. Let me say it a third time. They were free people. Free. Well, Moses didn't like that. And what did he do? He went back to his aristocratic roots and he invented God. Came back with what is called the 10 Commandments. And so he invented, got 40% of the 10 Commandments is the absolute invention of God. Absolute. And what did he set about to create? A police state. What are we talking about here? If a man lies with another man as a woman, he shall be put to death. He shall be murdered. If you wear the different threads and different fabrics, you'll be murdered. If you shellfish, you'll be murdered. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. He set about creating police state. And after 40 years of perfecting that police state, God told him to go out and spread that kind of governance to the rest of the people, to his neighbors. He said if they acquiesce, if they say, okay, we'll try for a minute. If they acquiesce, then you are only to kill the men. Take the women as your concubines and whores and whatnot. That's how you treat the women. You treat them as sexual slaves. That's how you treat them. If the people you come across, if they put up resistance, then you are to kill every living creature in that village. Kill them all. Kill everything. Kill the men, the women, the children. Kill the babies. Kill everybody. Kill the horses. Kill the dogs. Kill the cats. Kill the rats. Kill the goddamn dodo bird, the parakeet, whatever is living creature in that village. You are to kill. You are to murder it. Kill it. They had now just become the very thing they had sought to escape. They had just become the oppressor. Killing other people's babies. There was one village who built a wall around itself to protect itself. I'm sure that someone from another village that was being ravaged, razed to the ground, probably escaped. Someone probably escaped, came to their village and said, they are coming. They are coming to kill you. They're coming to murder you. They're coming to kill your babies. You have to protect yourself. And so they built the wall. And the marauders came, and the children of Israel, they came and they marched around, stomped around the wall, stomping around the village and whatever they did, stomping and making noises, terrorizing already terrified people is what they were doing. They blowed silver trumpets. Of course, this is stolen lucre. They stole from somebody. Then they growled and the walls came coming down, and then they were able to go in and murder those people's babies. But we here in the 21st century have been brainwashed to believe to cheer for them, to cheer for the killers, the murderers, because the people whom they murdered did not know God, but were trained to rah-rah for them. Something is perverted about that. But this is just par for the course of what Christians did. Christians, I mean, come on, let's be real. Europeans did that shit like nobody's business. Just as it was over in Europe, or over in Egypt, just as it was that one family was supposed to rule, the family that came from Charlemagne or Charles Martel, whichever one, the grandfather Charles Martel, the grandson Charlemagne, whichever one, the inventors of modern day Europe. They invented modern day Europe. Well, Charlemagne did. He created the noble classes, a noble people he gave entitlements to his friends, male friends anyway, his friends, and those people were called Earl and Viscount and Duke and all these kinds of things. The men, the women who married him became the female counterpart of that, whatever it may be, Duchess, Countess, Lady. But he invented that noble class. He invented another class called the ecclesiastical class. These were the people who were supposed to educate the peons, the peasants, about authority. You're not to question authority. And just as they did in Egypt, the divine right of kings. And this shit went on for 1,000 years. 1,000 years. And Europeans were killing themselves, killing each other, because God told them to, because Jesus gave them the permission to kill each other. They're up there killing each other. What is called the Inquisition. Break their back on the rack. The Iron Maiden. They burn each other at the stake, chop their heads off. All kinds of grotesque things that they were doing to each other up there in Europe. Christians killing each other. Entire villages didn't have women in them because the Inquisition that came through and said that those women were witches. They were violent people, violent, because they had been given the permission by their God, doing the very thing that Moses told them to do. Then they brought that violence to the rest of us out in the world. They brought that shit to us, that violence. Jesus was introduced to us, we Africans especially. Jesus was introduced to us through absolute violence. Absolute violence. Jesus stole everything we had. Stole our name, stole our land, stole everything that we had. Europeans getting the permission from Jesus. Said they had the permission from him. They had permission from God to do what they did, to enslave us. And now, 500 years later, they're still doing that shit. They're still doing the shit. Over in Africa, they're still doing the shit. And what pisses me off is that those Africans said, okay, pay us, we'll do it. Been doing that shit for 500 years. They should have said to them, no, you came here 500 years ago and you paid us for our mothers and fathers and you put them in chains. Fuck you. No, we're not doing it. And now you're back here 500 years later still doing the same shit? No. So it really disturbs me that no one has learned it yet. They haven't learned it yet. What the fuck? No, you don't come here and break us up. Break up our communities, break up our villages, and tell us, that we are inferior to you. This is why you're telling us to kill our gay brothers and sisters, because we're supposed to believe that they're inferior to us. No, it's not going to happen. So this is what Christians are doing. People who call themselves Christian, what they're doing. When are they going to learn it? I have to ask, why is their God so violent? Even if they made him up, why did they make him so violent? Why? You keep hope alive.